So hello everyone, before we jump into this video today, I would just like to say that this video was a pretty big hot mess for me to make, as you can tell by the length of this video. And I do apologize for certain parts being a lot longer than others, especially in the Q&A section. And I apologize that I answered certain questions a bit more in detail than others. Some I had just much shorter answers for than other, and as per usual with me, I just like going into detail with a lot of things. And so could this video have been a lot shorter? Definitely yes, but at this point I'm just a little bit mentally exhausted with trying to film this video and to also edit it down. So this is by no means the fault of anyone who asked me questions. I'm just really not the best at being concise with things, and I want to answer in as much detail as possible. So of course I'll be leaving timestamps in the description below, so feel free to jump around to whatever question you'd like to hear me answer, or if you just want to hear about the giveaway, the merch I'll be giving away, as well as the rules, that is perfectly fine with me. So now without further ado, let us get into this stupidly massive video. So hello everyone, and welcome back to Sakura Unboxing. So in today's video we are finally doing my 1000 subs giveaway as well as Q&A. It's been a long time coming. I've delayed doing this for quite a while just to get some other videos done, so we're just gonna jump right into it. So first I'll be starting off with what items I will be putting in the giveaway. So yeah, in this pile right here I have some of the items I'll be giving away, some of the smaller items, and of course I'll be showing off the figures I'll be giving away a little bit later. So I'll start with these much more flat items to show. So starting off right here, we have this My Hero Academia Present My Clear file, and again, some of these items I got were mainly to delay my Ami orders to the end of the month, because that's when I like to pay for them mostly. So yeah, first item that will be in the giveaway right here. So next up, we have this other tiny little acrylic charm, which is the Macross Frontier Ronka Lee Cospa Pinstrap. Very cute art style for these, but again, I don't know this character, and of course got her to delay my Ami order. So after that we have this little item right here, which is a Kingdom Hearts stationary divider. It does say it's Bible size, so it is pretty small, so a heads up if anyone wants this item. But yeah, gorgeous artwork. Kingdom Hearts does have a very beautiful art style, so yeah, another one to add to the giveaway. So now we're moving on to the last merch item I have, which is this Master of Diabolism Wei Wuxian acrylic Shikishi. Now, I unfortunately did this again. I accidentally bought 2 of this item. So yeah, I mean, I guess nice to put it in a giveaway, but I can't believe it happened to me again. Yeah, once again though, with these like Master of Diabolism merch items, gorgeous artwork, so I'm happy to give this away to a lucky winner. So first we're going into this sign right here, which is the Mega Man Mechanical Heart sign. So as a fan of the Mega Man series, mainly classic and Battle Network, also the Hitoshi Ariga Mega Man Megamix and Gigamix series, I love that manga so much. I had to pick up this sign because when do I ever come across a Mega Man sign? So yeah, I believe a bunch of artists and writers came together to create this design for Mega Man's 35th anniversary. So yeah, pretty much like each artist made like an artwork from each of the series, like let's say a few from Battle Network, a few from the X series, so on and so forth. But yeah, artworks in here are gorgeous. I actually don't really read the fanfics in these designs, so I don't know how those are, but I'm pretty sure that they're great. So yeah, and also very nice quality. This book feels quite nice, and very cool cover with a bunch of like the main Mega Man characters from each of their series on the front. So yes, I technically have this design already, but the reason why I bought another one is I originally bought it when it first went up for pre-order without the merch. I only got the book. There was a little bit confusion. I was a little bit frustrated, so I had to wait for the leftover sales. So yeah, I had to wait for the leftover sales, and unfortunately they were only selling like I think the merch with the design itself, like they wouldn't put everything separately, so I just had to buy another design. So that's why I'm giving this away. Along with, there's like 3 little buttons that I'll show off on screen as well. So yeah, here are the tiny little mini buttons right here. Again, I already have these. I somehow got like duplicates, but Yeah, these are of some Mega Man ZX characters, I believe. I'm not too familiar with that series, but I do kind of recognize the characters a little bit. So yeah, the first bundle right here in terms of books that I'll be giving away, this Mega Man Zine, as well as these cute little buttons. So the next one I have right here in terms of books I'll be giving away is this Oberon Dojin, as well as some little merch items that go with it. So I'll quickly go through these right now, and I'll show some b-roll because again, I do have these items in my collection. So yeah, once again, I already have these items. What happened was I used Buy to order off of Pixiv Booth, which I believe is where these items originated from. And for some reason, like a little bit later down the line, I thought they canceled my order. I thought I got a notification about it. So of course I panicked. I did really want these for my Oberon collection, so I ended up going to Zen Market, another Japanese proxy shipping service. I used them to get these items, and then it turns out that I guess it went through with Bai, and yeah, and that's how I got like duplicates. So I thought, hey, you know, I'll buy them both and I'll give these away in the future. So let me just go through each of these items. So yeah, first we're starting off with the Dojin, which is of course the Oberon collection little art book here, with some illustrations by Shichumi, the artist, who drew all of these beautiful Oberon artworks, and I really love their art style. So yeah, very gorgeous, very nice quality little Dojin right here. So then we have the next little items right here. So we have like 3 die-cut stickers of Oberon and his different ascensions, one little like acrylic block with this chibi Oberon on it, and then 3 little stamp foil stickers, very cute. Also very nice little art style, very cute little items right here. And then the last one we have right here is this mini Oberon tote bag. For some reason I thought there were like 2 tote bags with different designs on them, but no, it turns out it's just one little tote bag with a different front and back. I didn't realize this until I was doing the b-roll with the one tote bag that I already have. But yeah, again, very adorable. I kind of like the little tea theme it has. So cute. So yeah, very cool items right here. If you're an Oberon fan, I hope you look forward to possibly getting the chance to win these items, because I think that they're very cool, and again, very talented artists, such very nice items. So yeah, those are the 2 art books. Now, with the Mega Man sign, I am thinking of maybe adding another item to it, something small, obviously nothing massive, but just because the Oberon bundle has like so much merch I want to give away for it, I feel like with the Mega Man sign and it's 3 little tiny buttons, I feel like it's not fair. So whoever wins the Mega Man Zine, I'll see what I can do and maybe just add another little item just to make it a little bit more fair. So now we're moving on to the figures section. Now I have a bunch to go through, of course, mainly Nendoroids I'll be giving away, but also some smaller figures. So let's just jump right into the little smaller, much cheaper figures first. So the first item I have right here is this Pokemon Descue desktop figure, Welcome to Paldea 6-pack blind box set. So of course I did show these guys off in a little haul video in the past. I'll link those in the description below for figures that I have unboxed and, you know, shown off on the channel. Also in the iCard as well, so you guys can, you know, see my thoughts on these little figures as I go along. So honestly, with these guys, I should have just canceled my order for them. I was a little bit wishy-washy, but I went through with it anyway. Slightly regretted because I just don't have any use for these guys. They're meant to have different utilities to them, but again, I don't have really much use for these little items. So of course I did unbox them and I did put them back in their little plastic packaging and in the box that they were in. So yeah, one person will be lucky enough to win this very cute little set of Pokemon figures. So next up we have this little figure right here, which is the Oshinoko Eye Palverse Pele figure. I've seen a bunch of these guys on AmiAmi, so I do like the concept of these figures. I do like this sort of chibi art style, and just again, as a person who likes to do art, I kind of like the little palette base as well as the paint just gushing out kind of the, you know, the color palette of the character. It's just really cute, this figure, and from what I'm like looking at in the box, I feel like she looks pretty good. I don't notice anything really wonky about the sculpt or the paint or anything. Again, I want to keep this sealed. I won't be unboxing it in the B-roll just to show you guys. But yeah, again, I mainly got this to delay my Ami order, and these are, I believe, roughly $20. But yeah, very cute little eye figure that I'm happy to give away to a person who is a fan of this character or series. And now we're pretty much moving on to the grand prizes for the giveaway, which are the Nendoroids. So first we're starting off with the Spice and Wolf Hollow Nendoroid, sealed, like brand new in box. So yeah, if anyone has seen my August haul, I accidentally bought 2 of this Nendoroid on accident. I wasn't paying attention at checkout. But hey, at least it gives me an excuse to give this one away to someone, but I think she's just a very cute little Nendoroid, so if you're a fan of the series, you have hopefully this one to look forward to winning later down the line. So now we're moving on to the next 3 Nendoroids. All of them are VTubers. Again, I don't watch VTubers. I mainly got these girls for the designs. A little bit of regret there. So I really don't have any attachment to these characters, so I'm just going to give these away. The first one is the Natasha Nanners Nendoroid. Also in the B-roll, if you do notice, I don't have any of the accessories in the box. I just like keeping Nendoroid parts in their own little storage container with different compartments, instead of having to keep going back into the box to get the pieces for when I have to film these guys. So yeah. Again, cute character design, but I just, again, don't have really that much attachment to the character. So then after that, we have the Nakiri Ayame Nendoroid. Very cool looking Oni girl design, but again, I just don't know the character whatsoever, but hey, I think she's just, you know, really cute, so I'm happy to give this away to someone who likes this character. So with this Nendoroid though, I think when I showed her off in a haul, there was some like paint defects in some areas, which was unfortunate. So yeah, definitely check out the video where I showed this Nendoroid off, so you can, you know, get an idea of what you're gonna get into if you do win this Nendoroid. So then going on to the last Nendoroid here, we have of course the famous Iron Mouse in Nendoroid form. Again, cute outfit design, but I just don't watch her content really, so I'm happy to give this away to someone who's, you know, a much bigger fan of her than I am. So now we're going to go into the rules of the giveaway. So there will be 2 winners, and each one of them will get an illustration drawn by me, full body, simple background, nothing complex or anything, of a character from an anime or manga they really like. I know in the past I did like designing an original character, but I just kind of want to keep it simple this time and just draw a pre-existing character. And pretty much what I won't be drawing is, of course, not safe for work stuff, anything bloody or gory. And then lastly, any complicated mecha, armor, or animal design. But if you do want a character who's like a mecha, wears armor, or is an animal, I am definitely willing to take a look at the design and just kind of see if it's in my skill level, because I don't really draw those things too often, so we'll see how it goes when the time comes. So yeah, in the comments, how I kind of want the format to be, I'll probably put up on screen an example of how I want people's comments to look so they can be entered into the giveaway. At the top, of course, is the character you want me to draw and what series that they're from. And then after that, you're going to basically just list the items that you want. So the first 2, like number 1 and number 2, is which 2 Nendoroids that you want. After that, it's going to be which minifigure you want. And by minifigure, I mean you either pick the eye palette figure or you pick the Pokemon desktop figure. So number 4 on your list should be either choosing the Mega Man design or the Oberon little collection bundle. Whoever picks the Mega Man design, and if you do win, I do want to throw in maybe another little item in there as well, just to make it fair, because again, that Oberon bundle has just so many little merch items. And then the last 2 spots should be spot 5 and 6. You're going to be choosing 2 merch items only, so like the clear file, the little acrylic charm I showed, the Weibushin Shikishi, or the Little Kingdom Hearts divider. So of course this might backfire a little bit because again, 2 winners, sometimes like the items they want kind of overlap with each other. So I'm gonna see how that's gonna go a little bit down the line once I finally pick the winners. So I am open to, of course, maybe looking at Ami with the person to see what they want. In terms of small items, again, let's just say, for example, someone wants the My Hero Academia clear file and I pick 2 winners and they both want it. I'm gonna see if maybe there's like another clear file that's on Ami they want, something like that. So I'll have to see how that goes a little bit later. Hopefully it's not too stressful. And unfortunately, of course, this is kind of a mishmash of items that some people might not be too familiar with the series these characters are from, but these are the items I had on hand, so I just kind of wanted to give them away. So then going into the deadline for the raffle, so it's gonna be a week from when I post this video. So be sure to write your comment with everything I just mentioned before the week is up. And I know it's maybe just a short deadline, but my goal is to basically, you know, create the 2 artworks for the winners and then hopefully have everything prepared and shipped by end of March, but most likely like a little bit into April, hopefully early April. Because yeah, I just have like, you know, a bunch of other things I have to do in the future and who knows what'll come up, so hopefully I can just get everything done. So that's pretty much it for the raffle. Good luck to everyone who decides to enter, and hopefully you are lucky enough to win the prizes that I've selected. So now we're finally moving into the Q&A section, so of course thank you to everyone who took the time to come up with a question for me to answer, and for those who asked multiple questions, I really appreciate it. So yeah, I did take some notes a little bit in advance, so I have sort of a train of thought for some of these questions. Also in advance, I do apologize for some people's questions if I have just shorter answers than others. Some of them I feel like are just like, you know, pretty easy to answer, or some I just, you know, want to kind of go maybe into a little bit more detailed than others, so I do apologize about that in advance. So starting off with the first question right here from Vix Starlight 649, which is, hello, what's your favorite food? So I might actually talk about desserts first because I do have a couple that come into mind. So I might start off with the desserts first because there's like a bunch for me to choose from. Again, I have a massive sweet tooth. So yeah, I'd say probably my favorite dessert though is cheesecake. Because you can also just make different kinds of cheesecake, like strawberry cheesecake, Oreo cheesecake, like etc. like that. You can get some good variety out of that kind of dessert. And yeah, I'm pretty much, I guess I'm open to like any kind of like sweet treat, like cookies, cupcakes, etc. But I'd say the only thing I don't like when it comes to desserts is if it has like whole nuts on it. If it's ground up like to a fine dust, then sure, I'll have it with whatever dessert. But if it's like whole nuts, I'm just like not into it. I'm not allergic, but it's just not something I like to have with my desserts. So in terms of actual like meals I like to eat, my mom does make what's called boiled beef. I might show a picture up on screen. But it's a very good like hot and warm meal, especially on a cold day. I just like the way she cooks the meat. I like lima beans as well. And then, you know, some white rice with the broth, and then a little bit of like fish sauce to it, just to give it maybe a little bit more oomph sometimes. But that's very good on like a, you know, pretty cold day. I really like that meal that my mom makes. So also, I just kind of wanted to throw this out here, but I am half Filipino and half German. A very weird combo, but I personally think it's kind of cool. So yeah, I've been introduced to some Filipino food from the Filipino side of my family. So the first Filipino food that kind of comes to mind for me are egg rolls. They're small, but they're just so like crispy and crunchy. I really like it. And I remember when my grandparents used to live very close to me, you know, I'd come over to their house, they would have the egg rolls, and I'd have them over some white rice. And it was just, again, it's kind of nostalgic to me, but I just really, really like those egg rolls, especially when my grandma made them. So then also, you know, from the Philippines, and this is probably gonna be like my top food, just one that's so, so good, and I honestly should go buy some. It's called dinuguan. So I'll just read a description of what it is and show a picture up on screen. It's a savory Filipino stew made with pork, pork blood, and a rich dark gravy. So it does sound a little bit weird with the pork blood, but honestly, it is so freaking delicious. I love having it over some white rice. It's such a good, like, hot meal to have on a cold day. But yeah, it's absolutely delicious. I highly recommend giving it a try, even if it's just a little bit. It's just so delicious. So then I'll also mention one more Filipino dessert, and that is halo halo. Very nice on a hot day. So basically it has crushed ice, condensed milk, some jellies in it, some sweet beans, and then you can also top it off with a scoop of vanilla ice cream or ube ice cream. I freaking love ube as well. It is so good. So yeah, and halo halo also kind of nostalgic to me. My dad and I, we would sometimes go out and, you know, get it, and sometimes before we went out to play golf, we would have this stuff and just take a seat and, you know, outside and just relax while we eat it. Again, it's just another nostalgic food for me, and again, I just have so many good memories of having some, you know, Filipino food with my family. And I'm open to trying more Filipino food in the future. Those are just like my sort of go-to Filipino foods. So yeah, maybe kind of a lengthy question, but again, I just have so much like nostalgia when it comes to certain foods, and you know, I just like talking about what foods and desserts especially I love the most. So going on to the next question, which is from T Rigneris 301, and they ask, what got you into anime/figure collecting and what drives you to keep doing it? So in terms of anime, I feel like it started off with manga and then I found out about anime through it. I remember in middle school reading the Bleach manga, and then I guess that's how I found out about the anime, and it all just kind of branched out from there. But yeah, I'd say even before watching some, you know, figure collecting YouTubers, I do have, you know, some smaller figures, like prize figures and such from before that. And I do also remember just sometimes skimming through the Good Small online store whenever it refreshed just to see what figures they have, but I would never, you know, go through with buying any. So I feel like just, you know, getting those smaller figures and then just skimming through the Good Small online shop on the occasion just kind of, you know, introduced me to figures, and then just watching other people like make videos about figures kind of kicked off me going down the figure collecting rabbit hole. So I also feel like it's cool to see what kind of items people collect, like figures from certain series that they really enjoy, or original characters, or characters with certain like themes. Like again, I like sweet themes figures as an example. So it's also just cool to see people kind of decorate their rooms and just seeing how everything looks, which is always very cool. And I'd say what keeps me going with collecting figures is that, you know, there's still a bunch of series that I really enjoy that I want to collect figures from. Like, for instance, Fate is a big one. I've been getting into Zenless Zone Zero, and they've announced a couple of figures that are releasing at the end of 2025. And also just characters with certain themes that I like Sweets, Sakura themed figures, or the rare occasion where there's like a site themed figure. And just, you know, slowly growing my collection over time. And pretty much the other thing that drives me is, you know, continuing this channel. I do enjoy making content for all of you, even though sometimes I feel a little bit insecure about how my content turns out. But I am happy to help out, I guess, where I can with answering questions to the best of my abilities. And of course, just doing this channel in general, I feel like I like the sense of community I have. You know, in the comments, it's always just nice to talk to people. And I'm very grateful for everyone's like sweet comments. It definitely helps keep me going. And also, I just want to be as like informative as possible with certain things and honest as possible, so that's why I tend to go into a lot of detail, because the last thing I want is for someone to spend their money on something and to be very disappointed in their purchase. Obviously, I can't review every single figure in the world, only ones that I particularly want for my collection, but I feel like it's just very important. And I feel like it's nice to have websites like My Figure Collection, so we can see what people think about certain items, and we can see pictures as well, so that we can all make decisions on whether or not we want to pick up certain figures, or if we want to wait for them to go on sale. But definitely, you know, overall, I'd say definitely that sense of community is nice. I don't really have any IRL friends that collect figures who, you know, live close to me. So it's nice just having also that online community to just kind of discuss what we all really enjoy. And that just kind of keeps me going for that reason, and just to help people out before they purchase items. So going on to the next question, which is from Evernight, and they ask, do you ever get overwhelmed by the amount of series/characters you want to collect? If so, how do you decide? So to answer this question, I would say sometimes to yes. It depends on the series for me. I'll use the Fate series as an example, where There's a whole bunch of characters and a whole bunch of figures that have been released or are planning to be released in the future. I do tend to limit the Fate series to at least one figure of a particular character. The exception, of course, being Oberon, because he's like my #1 favorite, and I do want to collect pretty much like everything that's released for him for my eventual Oberon shrine. And also for the Fate series, I do tend to pre-order the male Fate figures. For example, of course, I pre-ordered the Alter Gilgamesh figure and the Alter Karna and Arjuna figures. And of course in 2025, the one I'm most excited for, of course, the Oberon scale figure by Alter. And yeah, I feel like it's also just mainly like Alter Fate figures. And, like, yes, I do have the Good Smile Castoria as well as Nobunaga figure by Good Smile. So yeah, those pre-ordered. So yeah, I just tend to pick up like at least one figure of a single character. And obviously in the Fate series, each character has different ascensions where they have different outfits. So for that, I do tend to go for the ascension I do like the most if there's a figure of that version available. So yeah, in terms of the female characters, I do tend to wait unless I really like the character. I do remember I was thinking about pre-ordering the Proto Merlin scale figure by Alter, because I thought she looked gorgeous, but I don't really know that character too well, so that kind of steered me off from pre-ordering her. Plus, I don't have her in FGO, so I feel like that was a little bit of a factor as well. And again, her price was like, I think 33,000 yen, and she, I believe, releases in March of 2025. Which again, I don't have like too many like big figures for the month, but I thought, I don't really feel like picking her up. She's not a character I don't know too well, plus the price a little bit. So who knows, she might go down in the aftermarket. And I'm at least glad with the Fate series, they do tend to space out the figures that I want quite a bit. For instance, with Alter and the male Fate figures, I feel like they release sometimes like 2 a year. Again, like Karna and Arjuna for 2024, and for 2025, for right now at least, I just have that Oberon scale, so that's at least good. And I do like picking up specifically Fate figures from Alter because they just look absolutely amazing. I love the way that they turn out. But I feel like the most recent series that I feel like I'm just like getting dogpiled with figure announcements and figures that are already put up for pre-order is Zenless Zone Zero, and specifically the Apex line of Zenless Zone Zero figures. As I'm recording this video, they recently put up the Corin Wix figure, which was like unpainted like not too long ago, and now she's painted and up for pre-order. It's absolutely insane. So from Apex with the Zenless Zone Zero figure line, I believe I pretty much have one figure from them, from that series, per month starting in June onward. So yeah, because Zenless Zone Zero is pretty popular and Apex is just pumping out those figures, so that's definitely an overwhelming feeling, but I'm glad for the most part they're not releasing them the same month, because that would really suck. And then I'll throw in also Miku figures in as well, because I do like collecting a whole bunch of Miku figures. But for me, it definitely depends on the design. Like, I'm not too into getting a figure of Miku in her normal, like, original outfit. I like getting her in so many different outfits. And again, it just depends on the design. Some of them I just, like, not really fitting in my collection. Like, racing Miku figures, I just tend to skip over, because racing figures don't appeal to me, and I think the designs are cool, but they're not ones I want to have in my collection. And obviously figures like the Shimeon Maifu Miku, as well as the 15th anniversary Miku, were for me kind of no-brainer pre-orders. When I saw those designs and the original artworks they were based on, they really grabbed my attention, so that's why I pre-ordered those. So I'd say overall, I do just try to basically limit it to one figure per character, with exceptions, of course, like Oberon and Miku. And pretty much a big one is definitely, again, release date and price point is a big factor. And also maybe just take a look at trends, like how do like female Fate figures, as an example, do when they hit the aftermarket? Do the prices go down? Do the prices go up? That's just something to kind of keep in mind as well, so you can determine on whether or not you want to pre-order the figure, or if you want to wait until the aftermarket for them to go on sale, or really just drop in price. Next question we have right here is from Sasa Miyadachi, who asked a pretty lengthy first question. The first one is, what is that one figure you ended up letting go, selling, or pre-order cancellation but sorely regretted afterwards? Were you able to pick it up again eventually but found its appeal was no longer as strong as it used to be despite the effort you put towards acquiring it? And the second question is, what is your favorite figure type and size and why? Thank you. Thank you for that very lengthy question, of course. So pretty much to answer that first question, I'd say thankfully I've never had this really happen to me before. Because again, sometimes people just have to cancel figures for like outside reasons, and that sometimes a figure can just skyrocket in price in the aftermarket. So with some of the figures that I canceled, I feel like I wouldn't really miss having these in my collection, which is always good, so I'm at least happy about that. So I'd say maybe just one example of a figure that I canceled that kind of went up in price in the aftermarket was like the Lemon Bunny by Binding. I thought she looked absolutely adorable and I liked the design, but she got delayed so many times that it just like soured my mood, so I just like canceled the figure. And she was getting closer to some pretty like heavy months, so I just was like, no, I don't want this figure anymore. The delays really sucked. And then afterwards, I believe on Ami Pre-Owned, she went to like 55,000 yen, which was a little bit crazy, but at that point I'm like, I'm perfectly fine without this figure. And I think now she's maybe gone down a little bit again, but I just remember that was like the one instance I canceled a figure and it went up in price in the aftermarket. So yeah, overall, I just felt pretty confident with my cancellations. I don't miss any of the figures I did not end up picking up, which is always a good feeling. Who knows if this will change in the future. I might have this incident happen to me, but we'll see much later down the line. So to answer that second question, I feel like I'm leaning towards like 1/7 scale figures being my favorite in my collection. I just feel like, you know, the size that I have for some of the ones I picked up that are in that scale are pretty reasonably sized. But yeah, it's like you get a nice like figure who can have like a very cool looking pose and also a very cool looking base, which is always nice. So then I'd say like the second type of figure that I like is 1/4. And I feel like it's mainly because you're working on like a much bigger canvas, so you can get so much more detail in there, which is always very nice. So yeah, the only caveat to that is that obviously 1/4 scale figures, they don't really have any crazy looking bases, unless maybe you're looking the resin route, but I'm talking about mainly PVC figures. And of course, again, I mainly collect 1/4 bunny scale figures, so they either come with a mirror base or they come with like a fluffy white base, and that's about it. But I definitely say that, you know, 1/4 I really like for just having that, you know, again, bigger canvas to add more detail to the figure, as well as the size. Size is always very cool. But who knows, my opinion could change about certain scale figures in the future, but for right now, I'd say 1/7 is my favorite to collect, followed by, you know, 1/4. Now we're moving on to the next question from Lazy Panda 6191. First question is, what is your most regret figures purchased? And the second question is, what is your most top 3 favorite figures of all time? So going into the first story, I do remember ordering the Twisted Wonderland, Leona, and Riddle scale figures by Aniplex, because I thought all their designs are very cool. It'll be very cool to collect the Twisted Wonderland characters in scale form. However, when it comes to Twisted Wonderland, I only log into the game, I don't invest myself in the story. So I don't really know these characters too well, in terms of course, characterization and personality. I just thought the figure looked cool. So needless to say, I think I bought them off of Bai, if I'm not mistaken. I had them for a little bit, but I'm like, I just don't want these in my collection anymore. I just don't have attachment to the character. I would rather have just gotten the little art card that comes with that the figure is based on. That's about it. So yeah, I ended up selling those to people. You know, thankfully someone wanted them, so those are out of my collection. Definitely regretted spending the money on them. Next, obviously, what I'm giving away in the giveaway, the VTuber Nendoroids. Again, I just don't watch VTubers. I bought them for their character designs, and that's about it. So happy, again, to be giving those away to 2 lucky winners. The next one is definitely one that's pretty recent, and that is the Mythos Viola figure. Cool character design, but I just, you know, I kind of grew out of love with the figure I'd say pretty quickly if I'm being honest. Plus just seeing her tank in price on AmiAmi just sucked. Like, you can get her for I think close to $100 compared to what I paid for her. So yeah, that was definitely soured my mood. I'm hoping to definitely sell her in the future. And I know that there's other characters from that series, but at that point I do not plan on picking any of the other ones up if they are made into figures. But I'd say definitely the big ones I regret pre-ordering are these like musical girl instruments series illustrated by Tony and manufactured by SkyTube. So there are 2 of them that I pre-ordered because I really like the design of. And then the other 3 that I chose, I ended up getting in the aftermarket, you know, pre-owned on AmiAmi. So yeah, of course the ones I show on screen are going to be the colors that I chose to pick up because they each have like 2 different colors, except for one of them as of right now. But yeah, so I had them on my shelf at one time. I thought they looked pretty cool all together. So yeah, over time though, I just became kind of detached from the figures. Again, I don't really have plans for like a musical themed figure collection, or at all even. So I'm like, I just kind of want to sell these girls and have it out the way. So thankfully at this point I did manage to sell every single one of them off to people who wanted them. Also, what kind of soured my mood with the 3 that I ordered off of AmiAmi is that they were pretty expensive in the aftermarket at the time I ordered them. I think they were like over 20,000 yen. Between 20,000, I'd say 25,000 yen. So yeah, very expensive, and I ordered them, and now you can get them for like, I think close to like $100, maybe even less in the aftermarket, so that really sucked. So yeah, overall, I'd say definitely these musical instrument series of girls were definitely my most regretted pre-orders that I've had, just because I wanted to complete a set at the time. So now going on to that second question, which is quite tricky because again, I just have a bunch of figures I really love in my collection. So I actually listed 10 figures, so I'm going to blitz through them, you know, relatively quickly until I get to that top 3. First one at number 10 is the Shiratama Komame figure by Native. Absolutely adorable sweet theme figure. I got her for an expensive aftermarket price, but I'm so happy to have her in my collection. Probably one of my favorite sweet theme figures that I have. Number 9 is the Hatsune Miku 15th anniversary version by Good Small Company. The Strawberry Miku figure that I just adored the design of so much, and I think the scale figure came out amazing. I'm very happy to have her. She might be one of my top Miku figures in my collection, if not the number 1 Miku figure in my collection. Also glad I pre-ordered her because I saw on AmiAmi she was selling for 100,000 yen, which is absolutely crazy, so I'm glad I pre-ordered the figure when I did. Number 8 and number 7 are kind of swappable, I'd say, but number 8 for me is the Flandre Scarlet 1/8 scale figure by Alter. Just a very gorgeous figure of this character. I love the colors, the sculpts, and yeah, just everything about this figure is amazing. Alter, very top tier figure manufacturer. And then number 7, we have the Romelia Scarlet 1/8 scale figure, again by Alter. Just again, sculpting, gorgeous, coloring, amazing. And yeah, I just like these two for different reasons. So yeah, they're basically interchangeable between spots 7 and 8. Number 6 is probably my favorite scythe-wielding figure, and that is the Myethos Witch Hag Lilith figure, and I just adore this one so much. I love the character design, just so amazing. Myethos has such amazing quality. Did get this in the aftermarket though, and I actually bought 2 of them. One of them unfortunately came like broken. The peg on the site that fits into the base, it was like breaking, and I broke it off, and she didn't really hold the scythe as well. I was very bummed about that, but I managed to sell her for very, cheaper than I would have hoped and liked to someone who could possibly fix it. And then I just bought another one because I really wanted this figure in my collection, and I'm definitely happy to have her. A very gorgeous scythe-themed figure. Number 5 is a pretty recent one, which is the Sarah Red Queen version, which, as I'm recording this video, I did upload a review for her, and yeah, just an amazing binding bunny. Really love the character design illustrated by D-Smile. Definitely one of my top favorite bunny figures in my collection. So number 4 and number 3 I feel like interchange a little bit, but they're both from one of my favorite series of all time. So number 4 I put the Land of the Lustrous Antarcticite non-scale figure by Good Small Company. It captures a very pivotal moment in the manga and the anime. I love the way that Antarcticite is breaking and just all these pieces and the way they just, you know, colored like the gem's like skin as well as the hair. It looks amazing. Such a gorgeous figure. Very small, but it won't take up too much room, which is nice. But yeah, just a very cool little moment from the manga and anime captured in figure form. And now going to the top 3. So number 3, I decided to give it to the Land of the Lustrous Phosphophilite 1/8 scale figure by Good Small Company. Phos being one of my favorite main characters in media. I just really adore that character and the changes that they go through. And yeah, I got this one in the aftermarket. I think I got them for 27,000 yen, which is still very pricey, but that was like the cheapest I can find them at. Very cool pose. Again, I love the way that Good Small did the hair and everything, and it's just, I love that figure so much. Land of the Lustrous, a very top tier anime and manga series. Hopefully with another season they make more of the characters, because I definitely like to make a little Land of the Lustrous shrine. So number 2 and number 1, kind of interchangeable as well. I can't really decide who I like the most, but as of right now for number 2, I'll put the Caroline Yuri 1/4 scale figure by Binding. The original one and not the newer one with the tan skin. In my opinion, I like the original one a little bit more. I'm just not too into tan skin characters, with some exceptions. But yeah, this one was definitely an arm and a leg in the aftermarket that I bought from a My Figure Collection user. And I just adore her character design so much. I love the pose, the confidence, just Sagiyamama's gorgeous character designs is amazing. She also feels really massive for like a kneeling 1/4 scale figure. I think it has something also to do with her hair, the way it just flows out to the sides. It definitely gives her so much presence. I love it so much. So yeah, even though I paid quite the hefty price tag for her aftermarket wise, I'm very happy to have her in my collection. Definitely one of my favorite bunny figures that I have. So number 1, there's probably a lot of bias to this figure because it is a husbando figure, and that is the Blaze Blue Hazama 1/8 scale figure by Broccoli. So yeah, this asshole. I just really love this figure of him. The pose definitely captures that asshole energy I like, and I think just the way it's sculpted, like from his outfit, the way everything is flowing, the snakes look amazing. I'm just very happy I managed to find him, because I feel like he's a relatively hard figure to come across for a decent price. I remember I got him off of Mandarake, and I think he was 27,000 yen, which is still pricey, but that was the cheapest I can find him at, and again, he rarely pops up, so I'm just like, I'm jumping on this now. And I have him, and he's amazing. I love him so much. So yeah, I just love that figure so much. Again, I like also the different heads he comes with. Very cool. So yeah, I'm just very happy that I have that figure of him in my collection. Next question we have right here is from Floor Ice Cream, which is, do you have a favorite artist in regards to art that gets made into figures? So to answer that question, there's definitely a bunch of talented artists that I like seeing having their original artworks made into figures. First one I have to say is D-Smile. I just, again, really love the way that they color and shade their characters and just their character designs in general. I feel like the best way to describe D-Smile's art style, for me at least, is like very happy and cheerful and warm. I don't know, just the characters look so happy and it's like so cute. But yeah, in terms of D-Smile figures, I don't have obviously a lot of. I do have the Sarah and Chris 1/4 and 1/8 scale figures, as well as I believe they made like the Ravi figure. I'll put her up on screen, who's very cute. I really do like that character design. But yeah, so I'm hoping to see more of D-Smile's gorgeous artwork being made into figures in the future. So then also I have to say Saitam, who does have a whole bunch of characters made into figures. So I do have a couple of Saitam figures, like the Mimi and Yu Usada figures, with the colors that I'm showing up on screen. And then I also have some of the girls from the Devilishly Fashionable line. Again, I'll put up on screen how they look. But those came out amazing as well. And then for me, number 2 personally is Sakia Mama, who again, so many gorgeous character designs, and they just pack so much detail into each of their artworks, especially in the eyes. I've noticed, again, the Mio Blue, the Caroline Yuri, and the Catherine White figures, they just have such gorgeous eyes, just so much little detail packed into those to add more character to the character, but also just a very bright and vibrant art style. I just really love the way Sakia Mama designs characters and just their coloring style as well. But number 1 for me personally has to be Star Shadow Magician. I just have praised this artist so many times. They've had so many characters of theirs be made into figures. And yeah, I don't know, just some of them are very cute, some of them are just like gorgeous. And yeah, so I do plan on picking up pretty much most of the figures that are illustrated by them into figure form, mainly like the Tea Time Cat series, so adorable, and again, pretty affordable figures for what you're getting. Also the Mushroom Girl series of figures, and also like the Sweet Theme Planet figures, which I only have one of, and the other one that they showed off as a prototype, Ribos, they're manufacturing those figures, is still a prototype, has not been colored, so I'm really anticipating more of those planet themed girls to be, you know, made into figures, because again, just it's so cool that they have like a series of characters, and then like each one is going to be made into a figure, you know, hopefully some a little bit quicker than others again. But yeah, there's just something about their art style is amazing, so I definitely say that they're like my top artist who I always love to see have their original artwork be made into figures. So going to the next questions, we have from Fayam Burim. I apologize if I butcher your username. Question number 1 is, what are your top 3 favorite anime shows and or games? Number 2, if you could create your dream figure, what would it be? Which character would you choose and what company would you like to make it? So very cool second question, I really like that one. Starting with number 1, I thought I'd answer both parts. So in terms of anime, again, there's so much to choose from. So in terms of top 3 anime, number 3, I decided to put JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I kept up with the series for quite a while, and I'm pretty much up to date with it. So I remember correctly, like, I first got into JoJo when I saw like the teaser for part 4. So I ended up watching parts 1 through 3, and then 4 came out, and then as part 4 was airing, I just started watching it. Yeah, so pretty much I've watched the whole series. I'm definitely excited for more in the future. Whenever part 7 comes out, I'll be definitely watching it weekly. And then on to number 2, an anime that's just very near and dear to my heart, and that is Katanagatari, an anime that you can't really watch legally. No one is streaming it, which is such a shame. But yeah, I love the character designs, I love like the character interactions. So yeah, this anime of course is adapted from a light novel series by Nisio Isin. So it's a lot of talking and just kind of little action here and there. But yeah, I just love the character designs. I remember when they were rebroadcasting it in 2013, I believe, and I saw that opening by Supercell. I was very interested in watching the anime, and yeah, I loved it. I loved the characters, the art style, and just like the story, and like, oh, I love Katanagatari so much. Also, maybe a big bias, I have like 2 husbandos from that series. If you want to guess in the comments who they are, be my guest, but there's just a lot of bias there for why I like the series so much. So yeah, and I pretty much collected a whole bunch of merch and the figures that have been made for this series, so I have like a small Katanagatari collection. Again, I am excited for Togami's Nendoroid because I love her so much. She's absolutely adorable and silly, but yeah, I'm excited for that Nendoroid in the future to add to my Katanagatari collection. But number 1 for me personally, a pretty recent anime that I love so much is Delicious in Dungeon. Absolutely amazing anime. I kept up with it weekly. Studio Trigger amazing animation studio. They just did a fantastic job with adapting the manga into anime. I really love the characters so much, and just the little scenarios they got into, and the story and the world, of course. And this is like one of very few times where an anime made me want to continue reading the manga, and I have no regrets. It's that amazing. So yeah, I'm excited for more Delicious in Dungeon in the future. Then in terms of games, I'm mostly leaning towards video games. I haven't really played too many too often, just because, again, most of my money tends to go towards the figure collection. Unless it's from a series I really, really love, then I'll pick up the video game and spend some time playing it. So at number 5, I put The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Probably my favorite Zelda game personally. I just really enjoyed like the world, the art style as well. Just the cell shading art style is very cool. Bosses were pretty fun, and again, the art style I feel like is just like my favorite of the Zelda series. It's very cute and cartoony. So yeah, hopefully they maybe port it to the Switch, or like the Switch 2 that's coming out in the distant future. Because I'd maybe like to go play that game again. I did have the original GameCube version. So yeah, just a nostalgic game for me. So yeah, number 4, I did put the Pokemon series. I know some people have some opinions about like the recent titles and such, but I don't know, Pokemon has always been nostalgic to me ever since I was little, and you know, I do like to play like the mainline games. See, I just like seeing like what new Pokemon come out, or like what other gimmicks the games have, or what other different types of evolutions or forms some older Pokemon have. And yeah, I don't know, it's just fun. I just like seeing like the news on like new Pokemon stuff that are coming out. And you know, recently they had Pokemon Day with Pokemon ZA, which does look pretty great so far. I'm excited to see what new Pokemon are introduced in that game, or what like new Pokemon have different forms and such. So yeah, I'm always definitely excited to see some Pokemon stuff. I'm excited to see some more news from the recent game, Pokemon ZA, in the future. Number 3, I picked Okami for this. Again, I have a little bit of bias towards this game because I have a husbando, that being Waka, in the game. But yeah, gorgeous art style. I think the gameplay is pretty cool as well. So yeah, I played both Okami and Okamiden, and I just enjoyed the characters as well, and the funny little scenarios that happened. Like, it doesn't take itself too seriously all the time, which is nice. And of course, I'm very hyped for Okami 2. I'm excited to see some gameplay, what the story will be like, and what new characters will be introduced, so I'm very much looking forward to that, as a pretty big fan of this series in the future. And then for number 2, I put an indie game that I really enjoyed. Very hard game, but I really enjoyed the challenge it threw at me, and that would be Hollow Knight. Just an amazing, amazing game. Very cool gameplay, and very fun and satisfying. Very cool character designs, and a very interesting world as well. So yeah, I do kind of like Metroidvania style games where you explore like the world itself, and you come back to certain parts when you have certain abilities. It's just a very fun game. I'm excited for more stuff in regards to Silksong, which, if you're a big Hollow Knight fan and are part of a community, you know has been in development hell forever. So hopefully we can get something in the future, because I would definitely love to invest my time playing Silksong. I'm just very excited for what that game has to offer in the future. And definitely number 1 is a game from a genre I didn't think I would very much get into, and that is the Hades series by Supergiant Games, a roguelike game. And honestly, I was not expecting myself to really enjoy that genre, but it feels very satisfying to just get these different scenarios and to get all these very cool abilities, and just to, you know, possibly blitz through one scenario but then also struggle through another scenario, as like, you know, resets and everything. I don't know, the characters, the voice acting, the gameplay is so satisfying. I love this series so much. I have not played Hades 2 at the time I'm recording this video, mainly because it's in early access. When the first Hades game came out, it was complete, and I played it on the Switch. I invested so many hours into it, so I'm excited for when Hades 2 finally gets like fully completed, that I can finally play that game. So yeah, just some of my top favorite games, as well as anime series that I want to mention. And now for question number 2. So there is definitely a bunch of characters who I'd like to see have a figure of some sort. So I have listed a couple. I'm gonna be quick through some of them and get to the main one I would like to see as kind of my dream figure that most likely a manufacturer will not make, but damn it, do I want something like this in my collection. First is a character from Honkai Star Rail, of course. I would really like to see a Boot Hill scale figure. Probably would be manufactured by Alter because they're doing some other Honkai Star Rail scales, but I freaking love Boot Hill's design. I like his personality. He's got long hair and black and white hair at that, so I would definitely like to see a figure of him in the future. After that, we have Lighter from Zenless Zone Zero. My personal favorite character. I just think his design is so freaking cool. Reminds me of another character who I also really like, so that's always a plus. So yeah, I feel like definitely, of course, Apex, since they are making those other Zenless Zone Zero figures, they're definitely going to make a figure of him in the future, or at least I hope so, so definite pickup for me if he ever is made into a figure. So next up, we have, of course, my second favorite FGO character, and that is Ashia Domon. I'm very surprised there's no, like, official scale figure of him. I feel like he is relatively popular, but he's just got such a freaking cool design. Again, long-haired boy, black and white hair design. I'm a sucker for that stuff. Definitely Alter would do a scale figure of him. Again, they've been doing pretty much a good chunk of the male Fate figures. And I know, again, this one has a garage kit of him made, which looks stunning. If Alter does not pick up that garage kit to be made into a figure, they are missing out on a lot of money. From me personally, and for any big Domon fans out there. But kind of my number one figure idea is a character from the Mega Man series, or I should say characters from 2 different Mega Man series. Kind of combined into one figure, and that is having, you know, base, classic, more towards actually the art style of Megamix and Gigamix, with base.exe from the Battle Network series all in one figure, because I love Base as a character in terms of like personality. He's kind of like anti-hero-ish. I especially like him in, again, Megamix and Gigamix, and just Base.exe, his story in the Battle Network series. I really love these 2 characters so much, so just seeing them in like a very cool like duo crossover figure, I would just really adore. I have some ideas in mind. Maybe I could sketch something out in the future of how I would like it to look. But yeah, that would definitely be my dream figure. Of course, with Base.exe, I do have that very cool Mega House figure. And I also have the model kit that I ordered of him because I cannot have enough of that character. And Base Classic only has that sort of posable action figure that's expensive in the aftermarket, I believe, or just really hard to come across. So yeah, I just really want a very cool base figure of these 2 different versions of him in like one very cool dynamic action-y figure. Also, I guess if this figure was made by someone, I'm guessing Mega House, because again, they have the Mega Man Battle Network figure they made, so they might have the licensing to it, so we'll have to see, but they do tend to charge pretty high in price. Again, if anything, like my ethos, Alter, again, I love the quality of their figures for the prices. If they can get their hands on the Mega Man license, like that would be very cool. So yeah, that would definitely be my dream figure. Definitely, I feel like a weird choice, but again, I just have so much nostalgia towards these 2 characters, and it would just be an absolute dream figure for me. So if someone does make it, they will definitely be taking my money. Next question we have right here is from Suhi1676. They have 3 questions. The first one is, how do you afford so many figures? 2, are there any rules to your collecting? And 3, will there be a collection tour soon? So going into the first question, I'm pretty much in the same situation as Ken mentioned in his recent Q&A video, and that is I do live with family still, so that kind of helps. You know, I don't have to pay bills or anything or other expenses, which is always a plus. Obviously, if I lived by myself, it would be a whole different other story with how many figures I pre-order and such. So, and mainly, of course, I do just tend to focus my spending on my collection mainly, and not other things like video games, or, you know, food, fast food, or clothing, let's just say. Because also, you know, just in case there are some like outside expenses that I have to pay, like student loans, for example, or just putting money towards saving, there's that. So yeah, just, you know, keeping track of things and just focusing on what you want to spend your money on, and just like, you know, yeah, keeping track how much you have in your like bank account, and just planning from there. Again, some things can unfortunately happen unexpectedly, so you just have to be prepared for that. And I pretty much work a job which I feel like, you know, pays pretty well, which I'm happy about, and thankfully the job I'm at, I'm pretty happy with my coworkers and just the environment in general, so that's always a plus. So overall, I am just grateful for the position I'm in with being, you know, living with family, as well as just the current job that I have. So moving on to the second question, I do have some rules that I laid out for myself that, yeah, I have broken a little bit in the past and recently. I do want to just mainly collect characters from series that I know about or am familiar with, like Fate, sometimes the Fire Emblem series, Pokemon of course, Zenless Zone Zero, a pretty recent one, and also characters with certain themes to them, like sweet themed, soccer themed, site themed figures, etc. But for me, that's also going to depend on price, release date, and also just like the design of the character in general. Like I know there's the Miyako Ribos figure that I have, which I love. Like that base is probably one of my favorite figure bases. Again, it just really encapsulates the whole sweet themed figure. And then there's just like, I think one I might show up on screen as example, like it's like a maid girl, but she only has like this little tiny pudding on the base. I'm like, no, not one that I want to pick up. I wish it was a little bit more, you know, I want extravagance essentially with my sweet themed figures. In a way, if that makes sense. Like the sweets have to be kind of prominent and such. Same things with like soccer themed figures or site themed figures, there's that. And another rule I have is if a character has a very cool design I really like, but I'm not too familiar with the series, I limit it to one version of that character for my collection. I have broken this rule though. That is with the Kosaka Wakamo. I have the Neon Max figure, and I do have the Good Smile swimsuit version pre-ordered. Because I just really freaking love her character design, so, you know, hopefully it just stays at just those two Wakamo figures. But yeah, so there's that as well. If I don't know the series too well, but I really love the character design, I limit it to one version of that character for my collection. And then original characters, I mean, they're original characters. I feel like it's just a toss-up for me in terms of design and everything. If there's an artist, of course, I love, like Star Shadow Magician, I do tend to lean towards picking up their figures for the most part. And then I'd say, like, characters who I really, really, really love, like husbandos or waifus, I tend to pick up multiple figures of them. Oberon is the main example. Again, I so far have every figure of him released. Scale and Nendoroid wise, obviously. So now to answer that third question that you mentioned, in regards to a collection tour. So I'm gonna be open and honest, but I have just a very small room, and unfortunately I just can't display every single figure I own. So I've had to put some away, and I feel like it helps to put in perspective like which figures like I no longer want in my collection and which ones I want to sell. So yeah, I've just been a little bit insecure about doing a collection tour. I'll get more about it in a little bit later, because there's one question I did save for last that I'll go in more depth of, but you know, hopefully when I get everything organized, I'd probably say, hopefully, I can't keep promises, the end of 2025, so we'll just have to see how that goes a little bit later down the line. Again, I just have some like other videos I want to record. Still, I have some figure reviews on the back burner, as well as just keeping up with the monthly hauls, and again, just like my own like personal schedule outside the channel. So yeah, we'll just have to see later down the line. Hopefully again, at the very end of 2025 at the least, I can do a collection tour / room tour of some sorts. So now we're going on to the second to last question, and that is from Hallie5257, who asks, do you have any more examples of your art, and if you have any plans to do something with your art in the future, example, a comic or a concept, or do you plan to just keep it more a hobby? So thank you for an art-related question. I was very happy to see that in the comments. See, in terms of like plans in regards to my art, I have contemplated again making merch. I have done so in the past with like, as an example, I have this like Serral Legend Armor Rogue charm that I made just to kind of test the waters a little bit with making merch, and I think I'll show also up on screen the oldest merch I've made of characters who I really like, who don't have a lot of merch, and a little bit self-indulgent. They're in like waiter bunny outfits. Honestly, I hate those so much. They're just like really old. I like the concept and the idea, but just like, again, I'm glad my art style has improved because those are kind of looking a little bit ugly. But yeah, I have dabbled a little bit in making merch. It's just mainly about not feeling so like intimidated, and again, there's like a whole process to making it. And yeah, obviously just I want to start out small if I do make merch, like stickers, acrylic charms, prints maybe. Prints are the ones I'm not too sure about making in a way. So I'll just have to see. Who knows, I'll just maybe concept stuff in my sketchbook, and you know, later down the line when I feel confident and I feel like I've researched enough, I'll make some merch, and if people are interested I might do pre-orders. We'll have to see. And for the merch I put up on screen, I did use Vogue Race. And I think also what's nice about Vogue Race is that you don't have to order so many charms, because again, it can get very costly. I think the minimum you might have to order is 5 if I'm not mistaken. Again, because some places require like a certain like max that you have to order, which can be a lot. But Vogue Race I think is nice to kind of just test the waters with making merch. So yeah, I'm hoping to use their services more in the future when I finally get down into making merch. And I've also, you know, again, I've contemplated opening up like an online shop, like an Etsy and such, but again, I just have to get that confidence to do so. And I know some people like, you know, go to conventions to sell their merch, and honestly, I don't want to go that far. Again, it can get very costly, you know, with buying stuff to set up your booth and then travel expenses as well. I'd just rather keep it like low-key in a way and just stick to like an online store. So that's just me personally when it comes to making merch. And in terms of like a comic, as you mentioned, I've had some ideas that have been in my head for a few years now, and that is doing a sort of crossover comic with a whole bunch of characters I really like and just seeing how they kind of interact with each other. It does kind of involve my avatar slash OC character. So I know some people can get a little bit up in arms in regards to self-insert characters, but for me, as long as it makes you happy and as long as you're not hurting anyone with your art, then it's perfectly fine. Doesn't really bother me too much as someone who, you know, kind of likes doing self-inserts and such. And I feel like it just helps bring me at least some comfort, just having those comfort characters and just drawing these different scenarios. I think it's just, you know, fun to do. Obviously some people can get really self-indulgent, so just, you know, contemplate what you draw before you post. Some stuff you should just honestly keep to yourself, just a heads up as well, because, you know, the internet can be ruthless, so just be careful about that. And for the comic as well, it's not gonna be like a whole big series with a big plot. It's probably gonna be like some like mini stories, in a way, so there's that as well. So then I guess the closest I've ever done to like a mini crossover comic, again, I just have all these in my head, but I haven't put pen to paper. I did draw like a piece of fan art of 2 characters from 2 different series for like Cat Day, which honestly this might be like kind of one of my favorite little art pieces I've made. And then I did like a little mini comic afterwards, and just seeing these characters interact, it just brings me some joy. So yeah, maybe I can go a little bit more into the characters I enjoy in the future. But boy, do I have lots of thoughts on my character preferences to share with everyone. And I guess the other thing that I want to do for 2025, and hopefully complete it before the end of the year, is actually filling out a sketchbook. Again, I mostly do like digital stuff, but sometimes my eyes need a break from just staring at a computer or my tablet all day, so I thought, hey, I just want to do like some more traditional stuff in a sketchbook, which, you know, I've done a lot more when I was younger, but, you know, I kind of switched over to digital after a while. So yeah, I might flip through this as well to show you just what I've been drawing in here. So yeah, this is just a moleskin sketchbook that's best for like dry materials like colored pencils, pens and such. It's unfortunately not the best for like acrylics possibly, and like watercolors especially. And some fine liners are unfortunately kind of bleed on this paper, which is a shame. But hey, I don't know. I just want to do like more traditional stuff, and because I've seen a lot of people do sketchbook tours, I kind of want to fill out my own, hopefully completed, because I've never really completed a sketchbook before. So there's this. I'm excited to keep working on just some little concepts and such in the sketchbook. And also in regards to like concepting stuff, I did mention in like a very old video that I do want to do, you know, a video hopefully on concepting like characters who I really love, who don't have any figures and who are most likely never gonna have a figure of them made. And just concepting my ideas and how I want my dream figure of these characters to look, because boy do I want a lot of these characters to have figures. So that's just something for me to do in the future as kind of, you know, a future video plan. So yeah, that's just kind of my like art goals and such, and like what I want to do. So thank you so much for that wonderful question. I always do love talking about like art and such, and like kind of my art journey as well. And now moving on to the very last question, which I definitely wanted to save for last for reasons I'll get into. And that is from Clara Artmente, who asks, how do you balance figure collecting with your current space? Have boxes started to become a problem? P.S. Love your videos. So yes, in all open honesty, because I want to be as honest as possible with all of you, and that is, I really do not balance my collecting with the space I have. As I answered in a previous question, I have a pretty small room, so unfortunately I can't fit every single figure that I collect. So also a quick little story, originally I did have a bigger room than this, but I do have a younger sister. And unfortunately, you know, I went away for college and she took over the bigger room, and I ended up getting this one, which was her room at one point in time. So yeah, and now I'm, you know, into figure collecting, and now I look back and I have like slight regrets with going away for college, where of course I had to dorm. So yeah, there's that little bit of regret right there. So I'll show some b-roll up on screen with the shelves that I have. I have this one sort of like larger shelf where I have like a little bit more depth to put figures into. I have like a Billy bookcase, and then I have all these other little shelves which are meant for like, you know, smaller figures. So yeah, as you can tell, it's pretty compact in here. Again, I like to keep my collection in one room. Out of respect for my family, I don't want my collection to go out of my room and into other areas as well. So do as I say and not as I do. If you do have a small room like I do, definitely don't pre-order as many figures as I do. And I feel like what also kind of helps with having a small room is you can kind of like narrow down what you want for your collection, like if it's a certain theme you want to go for, or if there's a series that you really enjoy, then you can collect for that series. But if you really want the figure, then I'd say, you know, go for it. It's your choice at the end of the day. But you know, if you're not sure, then I'd probably wait until the figure releases, because again, sometimes when we pre-order figures, we fall out of love with them over time. That's just what happens naturally. I've had that happen to me a few times. So yeah, that's just some advice I want to give for people who have like very small spaces. Again, what I do is definitely not the wisest and definitely not the smartest thing in the world. But for me, I just do this to, you know, collect the figures I like and to just review figures for people who are interested in picking up certain figures that I review. So, you know, I spend the money so you all don't have to. And as my collection grows and, you know, I do put away some figures, it helps me kind of contemplate, okay, do I want to sell this one? How much joy does it bring me, or how does it fit in my collection? Because, you know, I've been having those thoughts recently, so, you know, hopefully I can get some of those figures that, you know, I no longer desire sold to people who might really love the figure, so there's that as well. So then in terms of like figure boxes and like Ami boxes where I put figure boxes into, I'll show B-roll up on screen as well, so I'm grateful again for my family for letting me use like some of the basement space or like a whole bunch of the basement space to put these boxes, you know, somewhere at least. Again, you know, it's getting really packed, so I am hoping to, you know, sell some figures and I could use some of those Ami boxes to, you know, put the figure in and just ship it to someone who wants the figure, so there's that as well. And later down the line, you know, when I do a room tour and such, I do kind of want to organize things a little bit. As you probably saw from that B-roll, it was definitely kind of a hot mess. I feel like some figures are just in spaces because there is space and such, so I'm hoping to just keep things a little bit more organized and have certain themes be in certain sections, so there's that as well. So in conclusion, I'd pretty much say that what I do for my collection and my collecting habits is definitely not the smartest and wisest thing to do. But people can collect as they please, they just have to be mindful about a whole bunch of things later down the line as well, I have to say. But of course, you know, again, I collect because there's just really a lot of characters that I enjoy. And, you know, I want to do reviews for people who are interested in picking up certain figures, but, you know, don't have, like, the budget for, or just are really not sure about. And again, you know, with my changing taste, I could sell a whole bunch of figures off at one point in time, so we'll just have to see how that goes later down the line. So thank you so much for asking that question. Again, I just want to be as honest as possible with my audience. You know, collect what you want to collect, but just obviously keep in mind a lot of things like the space you have, what kind of figures you want to collect, your budget as well is very important. Don't collect because other people are collecting like these big expensive figures. Collect what you feel comfortable collecting. That's just my personal opinion. So that's gonna end the Q&A section right there. Definitely a lot more questions than I thought I was gonna get, which I'm very grateful. So thank you all so much who took the time to come up with a question for me to answer. Very nice variety, I'm very happy about that. So yes, let us now move on to the outro. So that's gonna conclude this most likely lengthy ass video. I talked a lot, and I went around in circles a few times I felt, so I'm gonna have a heck of a time editing the video down to, you know, hopefully keep the questions relatively concise. I mean, some I talked about more than others, so there's that as well. So once again, I'll put the giveaway like template up on screen. Again, comment and have it kind of look like what I have on screen. And again, the deadline is going to be like a week from when I post the video, so that's just a heads up as well. So that's now going to conclude this video. Thank you all so much again for taking the time to watch this video, and if you made it all the way through, however long this video is going to be, I really appreciate it. If you do enjoy my content and would like to, of course, feel free to take the time to subscribe to my channel to see what other figure and merch related shenanigans I get into next. So thank you all so much for watching again, and good luck to everyone who decides to enter the giveaway. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or night wherever you are, and take it easy. Goodbye.